Today we're talking about how do you find flood loss history on a property here in Florida, as we stand here in coastal Florida answering your questions for you. So let's get started. Hi, I'm Chris, the flood insurance guru. More than 12 years ago, I bought a house on a high-risk flood zone just like this right here. Had a terrible experience, and that's why I've been producing these videos every week to help you as a homeowner, as a real estate investor, avoid the things that I had to go through. Today we're talking about how do you find flood loss history on a property here in Florida. It can be very challenging. I know, when I went to buy my property, it was extremely difficult to find flood loss history. So how do you find it? First of all, let's talk about the private flood insurance side before we talk about the National Flood Insurance Program side, because it's different processes. If you've got a property you're buying from someone who has private flood insurance, one of the first things you want to ask that property owner for is, now in the state of Florida, the way laws have changed is if the property has ever flooded, have they had any flood claims? But with the new property law in Florida now, they have to disclose this to you and cannot lie about it. You could ask them, whatever private company they have, what's called loss runs. This will tell them if they've had any claims on this property as well. Now let's talk about the National Flood Insurance Program. This process is done completely differently, and it's done more universal. You see, if they had one private option, they had switched from another one, it's gonna be kind of hard to get that flood loss history from both of them. That's the challenges with private. With the National Flood Insurance Program, the only person that can request it is the homeowner or property owner. And they have to request this usually once a year, but the federal government will also provide it once a year, and they can give it to them in a couple weeks, and they can usually give it to them by email, fax, by phone, and we'll have all that description in the video below. You can have them reach directly out to them to get those lists, and they'll go all the way back to the 70s of when these flood losses started being recorded. So that's how you get it from the National Flood Insurance Program, and that's how you get it from private. Now remember, even if there haven't been any losses, it still means the property is at risk, and this is what you should be using the flood risk score to look at. The higher the risk score tells you the higher the chances are of a property here in Florida flooding over a 30-year period. So that's what we wanted to talk about today, is how do you find flood loss history on a property here in Florida? I'm Chris, the flood insurance guru, and I want to say thank you for watching today's video, and I look forward to speaking to you in our next video.